concerns about San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station.
That's quite a crowd, and I really appreciate everyone coming out and showing your concern about this really important issue. Over the past few years, San Clemente Green has been immersed in the problems at our nuclear power plant in ways that the general public could not have been. Safety issues that employees were afraid to bring up with managers out of fear for retaliation approached us, wishing to remain anonymous. As an intermediary, our neutrality on the issues eventually led to deep skepticism over the way the Nuclear Regulatory Commission handles these matters. Serious problems were discovered, such as corroded seismic support systems for pipes that cool the reactor, an accidental release of 14,000 gallons of radioactive water, and a steel I-beam falling 28 feet into an extremely dangerous spent fuel pool. Each of these significant events only resulted in the hollow threat of more inspections by the NRC. A huge earthquake is long overdue and expected at any time now. We live next to a nuclear power plant that is rated to be second most dangerous of the 104 currently being operated in the United States. The plant was originally designed for a magnitude 6.0 earthquake. It was retrofitted in 1981 as best it could be to withstand a 7.0. Yet recent scientific evidence indicates that fault lines just offshore are capable of a quake between 7.5 and 8.0. Industry experts reassure us that they have taken conservative precautions, but we have seen how grossly they have underestimated the forces of nature in Japan. They risk all that we cherish as they persist with plans to extend their license to operate until 2042, a period that is certain to experience an earthquake like nothing we've ever experienced in our lives. All the while, the most dangerous stockpile of radioactive waste accumulates in storage facilities that were never intended to be permanent. Recent revelations brought about by the disaster in Fukushima have raised critical questions about the capabilities of science, technology, regulatory oversight, and emergency preparedness to keep the public safe. Shut down San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station and begin the decommissioning process. We understand that the City Council has no jurisdiction over songs. We simply ask you to endorse our goals. Time is of the essence, and we can't afford more seismic studies that will delay getting this situation under control. Even if we did, the results would be questionable. Scientists have often underestimated the forces of nature. It does not take an expert to understand this situation. It only requires ordinary people to hear the simple truth in order to make an informed decision. Tonight we ask you to vote to endorse our primary goals to stop producing nuclear waste, deal with the stockpile of highly radioactive spent fuel, and come up with a realistic emergency plan to deal with radiation exposure while it remains a threat.
Years ago, a songs representative told a room full of us nuclear skeptics, "Don't worry about radiation. As a scientist, I'm confident that one day we will find a cure for cancer." Absurd as that sounds, it's the same brand of Kool-Aid Southern California Edison and the NRC expect us to drink today. Past city councils have dodged the songs issue by saying the technology is safe, we trust Southern California Edison. Can you say Japan? They pled, we don't have jurisdiction. It's up to the PUC, the NRC, the FTC, the FCC. No siree, it's you and me, we pay the fee. You and I live just 5 miles and who knows how many days from a songs disaster. We paid for the plant and we will shut it down. Stop adding daily to our local poison burden. Redeploy our time, treasure, and talent to developing clean energy to replace the poison plant. Then put our best scientific minds to work in a new age Manhattan project to clean up the mess we've made.
7.4 million. That's the number of people that would have to be evacuated. There used to be a sign over the president's desk that said, "It's the economy, stupid." I have a sign, "It's the earthquake, stupid." It's just a bad investment. We should decommission it now.
Emmy Award-winning investigative journalist, formerly with NBC and CBS News. I was out with a sign in front of San Onofre, no nukes, because I understood at 18 years of age, it was mad science. So I'm here today to ask the same question with my 22-year-old daughter in tow. I'm a former news person. I'm telling you, you're not hearing the full story. There's 2 nuclear meltdowns happening now that will affect us. It's our Pacific Ocean, and it's on this planet.
It's interesting to note much lower median home prices here.
Shut the plants down, the lights will not go out, and we will all be very much safer immediately.
Anything the SCE tells you or the NRC tells you is probably wrong.
Everyone knows that the many evacuation plans over the years have been complete failures.
How old are you?
I'm 9.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Our town is like Japan's Fukushima town. Here are the reasons why. The parents and adults in Fukushima told their kids not to be afraid of the nuclear power plant on an earthquake fault line in their neighborhood. So do some of ours. They say that their power plant could handle a tsunami. So did some of ours, but they were wrong. Don't give our town's adults time to be wrong. Please shut down the nuclear power plant.
I was in Yap when the tsunami hit in Japan, snorkeling with many people from Japan, and when I saw their faces and what they were facing, I came home and began doing my research, hoping that we will never face that here.
While we can't prevent the next earthquake from happening, we can prevent a nuclear disaster by closing songs.
The risk involved in having a plant here does not outweigh the benefit from what you're getting.
I traveled 74.6 miles to get here by bicycle. I ask that you support the shutdown of the San Onofre nuclear power plant.
The nuclear power plant has always been a concern. It's almost like a beast in your back door. I'm thinking about lives, property value, everything that could be destroyed within an hour.
You'll forgive me, I'm not feeling very well. I'm a cancer patient and I'm at a low point in my chemo cycle tonight. I taught students from Chernobyl who were being exported by Russia as human liability, if you will. They had all been exposed to massive amounts of radiation and suffering from cancer. Many of my students were wearing the Chernobyl necklace or in the process of receiving their Chernobyl necklace. That's the scar that you get from surgery after thyroid cancer.
There's so many things that could be said and should be said and need to be said. Because this is not a game that we're talking about with San Clemente and the future generations and children and food and water and evacuation and how many tons of that crap is there. Every time you ask the NRC, who are supposed to be the watchdogs, the government watchdog, they'll say, well, I really don't know. I'll get back to you. But they never do.
It's a monster. Hopefully it stays in its cage. The longer it's in the cage, the more dangerous it gets. There's a lot of ways that cage can break. Please take it seriously like anybody that cares about the 7th generation, but it's supposed to go into thousands and thousands of generations.
The California Coastal Commission, just 1 year old at the time, denied the application to build units 2 and 3. After long hearings and much testimony on both sides, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission stepped forth and told them that they could not consider radiation because they didn't understand that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission knew about that. And so he said to them, you search your heart and take that out of your decision. There were just enough persons there who did that it was approved and it was built.
Mayor Donchek's remarks at the NRC hearing were excellent, so I hope that you take a strong stance in favor of decommissioning songs.
To risk the health and safety of not only all United States citizens across 300 and some million of us, not to mention maybe Canada, and I don't know how far this could be affected. I think it's incredibly selfish if we continue to satisfy our energy needs at the expense, possibly, of millions and millions of other people.
I have a background in urban design, which is a planning background, and also a degree in large-scale landscape planning with an emphasis on environmental issues, both from Harvard University. When I saw the events unfolding in Fukushima, I quickly went online and started doing my research, the research that I've always done. And I spent all night, I spent hours doing this every night. And as I'm plowing through this information, I'm starting to piece together a picture like I did on so many other big projects I've worked on. UNESCO World Heritage Sites, I've worked on projects in China, I've worked on projects in many places in the world that were very critical projects, critical environmental issues. We have an industry that socializes its losses and it privatizes its gains. And because of that, it's doomed to mismanage risk.
I just want to encourage you to decommission San Onofre as soon as possible. Thank you.
We're all out there in the wind. Everybody, together.
I am a native Californian and the veteran of every earthquake we've had since the 1930s. And let me tell you, we're going to have another one. Let's get this damn thing out of here, please. Thank you.
As a toxicologist trained at UC, for radionuclides, there's no threshold below which anything is safe. Maybe people don't know that. And also, there's a contingent of people who are no longer drinking milk in the area because of measurements that have been found. I support the fact that something's being done, but I also sort of regret that it took Fukushima for us to bear a responsibility for Fukushima to be the initiating catalyst for this green resolution.
Okay, thank you. And that's going to conclude the public comments for this agenda item. What will be the council's desire as the next step?